What's up, everyone? We are diving back into the multiverse today for another epic. Which is what if Naruto built a god-chosen elemental angel harem with the twin Hyuuga flowers and the elite elemental warriors part 1. If you enjoy this story, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more fanfics like this. Now, let's dive right into the fanfic. Naruto ran. He ran as fast as he could. He had to get away. He didn't know what he had done wrong. He was just wandering down the street after having a hearty meal of ramen when he was attacked. A bottle colliding with his head was the initial attack. After that he was beaten up till he could escape. Now he was running for his life. Extreme pain was coursing through his entire body from the beating. It hurt. He could feel his blood drying on his skin. It hurt to breathe since his ribs were either bruised, cracked or broken. His head throbbing and he had a hard time thinking straight on where to go. His legs were screaming for him to stop since they couldn't keep up the speed he was going. Got to get away. Got to, he panted. Sadly he was small for his age and his legs weren't up to the furious pace he ran. Nor was he strong enough to keep running much longer. There he is, you can't run from us, demon. A villager shouted. Naruto was out of breath and he knew he was about collapse. The next thing he knew he was on the ground heaving heavily trying to regain his breath. Then he felt many feet kicking him along with items clubbing all over his body as well as fists too. He tried to shield himself with his small arms the best he could, but there was so many attacks coming from all sides that it was futile effort. He thought he was about to die when he heard screams, but they weren't screams of triumph. No, they were screams of pain and agony. He opened his eyes to find several villagers either dead or injured severely. There standing in front of him a young man older than he was. He couldn't see his face due to his blood obscuring his vision. Who are you? Naruto asked. My name is Itachi Uchiha. Are you alright? He asked. After that Naruto was checked over by a doctor the Hokage trusted and Naruto was released soon after due to the boy's amazing healing abilities. Itachi gave his report to the Hokage and afterwards asked for a strange request. Lord Hokage, I wish to train the boy, Itachi said. The third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, puffed his pipe as he thought about this. Why are you asking for this? He asked curiously. I see much potential in him and I think he will be an excellent shinobi. He just needs the right training, and starting early will help, Itachi said. Hiruzen leaned back and thought over what Itachi had said, but there had to be more. You make a good reason, Itachi, but why Naruto and why not train your brother, Sasuke? He asked. Naruto needs it more. Sasuke has the entire clan to help him. Naruto has no one, and, well, I've seen bits of his life and I hate what the village is doing. I want to do something to honor the fourth and I thought this would be it, Itachi said. Very well. You may train Naruto, Hiruzen said finally. Thank you Lord Hokage, Itachi said bowing. Scene break. After that day Naruto got trained by Itachi. Itachi was a slave driver, but he knew Naruto could take it. Naruto learned many things from taijutsu to ninjutsu. Itachi saw that Naruto had no feeling for genjutsu so worked on him recognizing and dispelling it instead. It would be useful in the future. Naruto was happy that someone was teaching him, paying attention to him. He even got to calling Itachi his brother. Itachi somehow grew close to Naruto. He saw him as a little brother even though he already had one. He just felt closer to Naruto than his own brother though. He didn't know why, but it just felt right. Their bond grew strong as both teacher and student as well as brothers. Itachi helped Naruto eat better so he could get stronger and taller. Ramen was good, but eating every day wasn't healthy at all. He taught Naruto a few recipes and gave Naruto a few cookbooks to study as well as buying Naruto's groceries since Naruto couldn't get any food if he went shopping on his own. Naruto made Itachi laugh and relax from the hard days. He also got Itachi to enjoy life, which he hadn't done for a long time. It was a good relationship for the both of them. Scene break. Itachi couldn't believe his orders. He had been ordered before to spy on his family. There were rumors that his clan was planning an uprising and he needed to find out if it was true. It was. Now the council had ordered him to kill his entire clan to avert a war. He knew that this was the logical choice, but how could you handle killing your family on the emotional level? Before he left, Itachi and the third had a few words with one another and an agreement was come to in the end which will change the future. Scene break. It was in the middle of the night and Naruto was deep asleep when he heard a banging at his door. The blonde grumbled and crawled out of his bed and to the door. Naruto got to the door and opened it to find Itachi standing there. Itachi, what are you doing here? He asked, rubbing his tired eyes. We're leaving on an extended training mission. Get packed, Itachi said in a very serious tone. Naruto blinked, now fully awake, and nodded. He knew not to question Itachi when he was this serious. Itachi walked in and helped Naruto pack up all he could. Once that was done and Naruto was dressed, they left. Naruto though wondered if and when he'd return. Scene break. Years passed since Naruto and Itachi had left the Leaf Village. Naruto had learned what Itachi had done and felt bad that Itachi had to kill his family. Though Itachi left his brother Sasuke alive. During these years Itachi kept training Naruto as they traveled. They learned new things from the people they met too. It was lonely on the road, but they got through it by hanging on to one another. Naruto's orange jumpsuit was soon too threadbare and wrecked by constant abuse. He had to get new clothing. Clothing that fitted more of a ninja. He now wore a mesh undershirt, which was covered by a dark brown and forest green shirt, black pants with built-in holsters for weapon pouches, and to top it off a gray jacket with several pockets to hold items. Itachi knew he would never get over what he'd done, but helping Naruto get stronger eased him a bit. It gave him a purpose in his life and helped from shifting to darker thoughts and actions. Naruto was his saving grace. Scene break. Years later, Naruto walked up to the gates that were the entrance to the Leaf Village feeling good. Though he was frowning on the inside, Itachi couldn't set foot in the village and that he was on his own again. He made his way to the gates and smiled. It had been years since he last saw these gates and wondered if anything had changed within the village. He himself had changed. He had grown several inches, he still had the familiar whisker marks on his face and those blue eyes. But those eyes weren't the same innocent ones that he had when he left the village. No, these eyes were older and wiser and perhaps a bit colder too due to being exposed to the real world so early. He still wore the same clothing he got after his jumpsuit was no longer wearable. Naruto Uzumaki, returning from an extended training period, he said to the guards. They were shocked. They thought that the demon was gone forever only for him to return. Naruto left knowing he had to stop in to see the old man before he could return home, that is if he had a home left. Scene break. Hiruzen sighed as he worked on the mini mountain of paperwork in front of him. He prayed to God for some relief from his small personal hell. Hey old man, I'm back. Hiruzen looked up and smiled. Naruto was back. Things were quite boring without the hyperactive blonde around. Naruto, how are you, son? He asked as he puffed his pipe. Good, Naruto said as he plopped into one of the open chairs. Hiruzen used a special seal to create privacy. How's Itachi? He asked. He's well. I left him about a few days ago. He said he'd be in touch with me, but I am not sure how, Naruto said. Hiruzen nodded. You look like you've done quite a bit of training since I last saw you, the old Hokage said, taking in Naruto's new outfit and the blonde's slightly buff body. Yeah, I learned a lot from being with Itachi and from others we met, Naruto said happily. I see, are you ready to start the academy? Hiruzen asked. More than ready, old man, Naruto said with fire in his eyes. Hiruzen chuckled as he wrote out the papers needed for Naruto to attend. You start Monday, he said. Great, is my old place still there? Naruto asked. Sadly no. When word spread that you left, the villagers burned it down, Hiruzen said, frowning. Oh, so where will I live? Naruto asked. Hiruzen puffed on his pipe in thought for a bit. I think I know a place, he said. Scene break. Naruto looked at his new home. It was much better than his old one, that was for sure. But still, it was still kind of run down. He sighed and unpacked. He put his things away and also began placing traps and the sorts just in case the place was broken into. Itachi taught him to place traps and alarms around if you're in hostile territory to protect yourself. Now Naruto knew he wasn't in hostile territory per se, but he knew why all the village hated him. Itachi told him when they were on the road for a year. He held the Kyuubi. That's why the villagers attacked him, beating him then leave him for dead. This angered Naruto immensely, but he knew that they were just ignorant fools and he'd show them that he wasn't a demon, but a human. So he trained harder than before. He made a promise to himself that he'd get stronger so he could protect his precious people. Though he didn't have many right now, he hoped to get more in the future. Once Naruto was settled, he was glad he and the old man went to get groceries for his place beforehand. He didn't know if he was ready to face the village on his own yet and was thankful to the old man for helping him. The rest of the day Naruto spent using seals around his place to secure and strengthen places that could be weak spots. He learned Fuinjutsu from an old man, who was an expert with them. He even took a look at the seal on Naruto's stomach and marveled at the complexity of it. So after that Naruto became a student to the old man. Itachi left for a while as Naruto learned Fuinjutsu. Now Naruto was no expert, but he was probably the best in all of Konoha and was getting better thanks to the scrolls he got from the old man. He was truthfully probably close to be a master of Fuinjutsu. Sadly, the old man passed when Naruto was close to finishing his training, and the old man gave Naruto everything he had so Naruto could continue on his own. Naruto buried his mentor with Itachi's help. Scene break. Monday, the first day of the Ninja Academy for Naruto. He sighed and entered, not knowing what to expected. He found his class and found he was one of the early ones. He found a seat in the back and waited for the rest of the class. When the class was filled, the teacher came in. Naruto barely listened to what was going on since he had learned so much. Itachi drilled him not only in training, but learning tactics too, as well as things that you'd learn as a Chunin and Junin too. So Naruto was far and beyond his fellow students, but he had to go through the academy like everyone his age. Uzumaki. Naruto looked up to see that the teacher was angry. Naruto had seen this look on the villagers and knew what he was thinking. He waved it off. The day went by and soon it was over. Naruto was tired and walked out shaking his head. This was going to be a long 4 years. Scene break. Going to class, training, sleeping, eating. That was how Naruto's days went. He did well in class mainly thanks to Itachi, who curbed his ADHD early before it could be a real menace. He was inching up the ranks of the class and was battling the so-called Hyuuga prodigy for the top spot. Now Naruto knew all about the Hyuugas thanks to Itachi and found them uptight, stuffy people with the ego the size of the world if not bigger. They needed humbling and Naruto saw it as his job to do that. Every time there was sparring, the teacher would pit Naruto against the Hyuuga. The teacher hoped that Naruto would get beaten, but Naruto won every time, pissing the Hyuuga off more and more along with the teacher. Naruto didn't make any friends really in class since many heard from their parents to stay away from him. That bothered Naruto though, since he did hate being alone again. He thought this as he sat with his back resting against one of the training posts. He was taking a short break when he sensed someone was coming. He looked up to see a girl with brown hair done up into 2 buns. She was wearing a pink Chinese sleeveless shirt and dark green cargo pants. He knew her. She was one of his classmates. "Oh, sorry, I didn't know this training ground was being used," the girl said upon spotting Naruto. "It's no problem. This place is big enough for both of us," Naruto said. "Thanks, I've seen you in class. My name is Tenten," the girl said. "Name is Naruto Uzumaki. Nice to meet you," Naruto said with a smile. They shook hands and Tenten got started training. Naruto moved to resting against a tree so Tenten could use the posts. He watched her move and throw kunai and shuriken. He found she had grace and style. She hit all of her targets perfectly. When she was done, Naruto clapped. Tenten, who was so busy throwing that she jumped at the sound of clapping and blushed as she saw Naruto clapping. "Amazing, Tenten. I've never seen anyone be that perfect in throwing," Naruto said, smiling. "Thanks," Tenten said with her blush increasing. "Do you have any other skills?" Naruto asked, getting up. "Well, I'm alright with the academy taijutsu style. I'm okay with ninjutsu and same with genjutsu also. I am more skilled in kenjutsu though," Tenten said. Tell me, can you pick up any weapon and pretty much use it right off?" Naruto asked. Yeah, how'd you know?" Tenten asked with shock. "Oh, just something I learned when I was off training. You see, I saw some ninjas who were just like you. Can use any weapon they grabbed even if they've never used it before. I think it's some kind of Genkai Keke or something, Naruto said. Really? Tenten said with intense interest. Yeah, anyway, how about a spar, and if you can help me with throwing kunai and shuriken, then I can help you with taijutsu and ninjutsu. I'm crap at genjutsu, Naruto said. Tenten thought about this proposal and agreed. She was curious at how good Naruto really was, since he could beat a Hyuuga and they were supposed to be some of the best. She also didn't believe the hype that surrounded Naruto. He seemed like a nice person and wanted to get to know him better. She didn't think her father would mind at all, since he always told her to keep an open mind. So after that, Tenten and Naruto trained together and became friends too. Scene break. Itachi smiled as he read another letter from Naruto. He was happy that his brother had a friend. He had read in previous letters how alone Naruto felt and was glad that wasn't the case now. The traitor of the Uchiha clan made a home close by to Konoha just in case he was needed. He knew it was a risky thing to do, but he wanted to be close to Naruto. He went back to the letter and read that Sasuke was a jerk even though said boy was a year under him. It seemed that Sasuke had taken the Avenger role very seriously. Itachi laughed when Naruto described that Sasuke looked like he had a 5-foot rusty kunai up his butt all the time. Itachi shook his head smiling. He did feel bad that his real brother was so hell-bent on killing him, but that could be dealt with and hopefully without any bloodshed. He also read how his real little brother had so many girls, both young and old, following him and how he kept brushing them off. He had to laugh when Naruto pondered if Sasuke was gay or something, since no straight guy would be avoid so much willing female flesh. Itachi was glad how good Naruto was doing in class and was probably going to be Rookie of the Year. This made Itachi very proud. Scene break. Soon Genin graduation arrived and Naruto was more than ready. Tenten could feel his excitement just by sitting next to him. Heck, it was so strong you could reach out and touch it. I know you're psyched about this, Naruto, but calm down. You need to be calm and focused for this, Tenten said sagely. You're right, Tenten, you're right, Naruto said as he took a couple of deep breaths to calm himself. The written test was a breeze, then they went outside for the sparring portion. That went easy, with Naruto once again being paired up with Neji Hyuuga. Naruto beat him again, leaving Neji very angry. The last part was the testing of the 3 academy jutsus. Naruto knew these by heart and they were a snap. He passed and was proudly wearing his Hitai when he met Tenten. They congratulated one another and then went out to eat to celebrate. Naruto got back home to find a scroll with an interesting seal on it. He knew whose it was right away. There was a seal on it that Itachi made, so Naruto would know that the scroll came from him. That was the way they communicated by scrolls, that after you've written what you want and placed the correct seals on it, you'd then perform a certain pattern of hand signs that would transport the scroll to the person you want it to get to. Itachi made up this jutsu and seal so he could stay in touch with Naruto. Naruto grabbed the scroll and headed in. He smeared a bit of blood on it, which broke the seal, and unfurled it and found it was a storage scroll and wondered what Itachi had sent him. He sent some chakra into the scroll and a sword appeared along with several small scrolls and a letter. Dear Naruto, congratulations on making Genin. I knew you could do it. The sword that's before you is one that I had specially made for you when you were off studying Fuinjutsu. I saved it to give to you when you became a Genin. Now this sword has many features. One is that it is made of chakra metal, which means you can channel chakra into the blade to make it longer, stronger, or sharper. It will also be useful when you learn what your elemental chakra is, but that's later. Another feature is when you place a bit of blood into the handle, it will be key to you so no one else can hold it unless you wish it. Please take care of it, though I know you will. I have also enclosed some kenjutsu katas for you. I've looked high and low for these and I know you'll master them. Your brother, Itachi. P.S. You can teach these to your friend Tenten too. I know you will anyway. Naruto smiled wide and placed a few drops of blood into the sword handle to key him to the sword. He then went to bed knowing Tenten would be jealous. Scene break. Naruto wasn't disappointed when Tenten saw his new weapon the next day. She got starry-eyed and looked ready to ravish him or the sword, he couldn't tell which. He had Tenten give a bit of blood so she could touch the sword too. He had yet come up with a name for it and Tenten was more than willing to help him with that. When she heard about the Kenjutsu Katas, she did something Naruto never thought she would ever do. She squealed like a fangirl. Now Tenten was the only other person in the village beside the third who knew Itachi was not a traitor. Naruto told her when he felt he could trust her enough with his secrets. She even knew about the 9 tails inside Naruto and saw him no different afterwards. It only made their friendship stronger. Today was their last day at the academy, and that meant for those who graduated was the team placements. Naruto and Tenten hoped they were on the same team, but knew that it might not happen. When they heard their names called, they were happy. Their third teammate was a boy named Rock Lee. He couldn't use chakra, but excelled in taijutsu. Their Junin instructor was Might Guy, who burst into the room right after the teams were announced. At first glance, both Naruto and Tenten knew that this guy was off kilter. I mean, who wears green spandex like that, and what was with those eyebrows? They were the biggest the two had ever seen. In their mind, this had to be the weirdest looking Junin they had ever seen. Scene break. Itachi received letters from Naruto and read about who his team was and his Junin instructor was. He vaguely remembered Guy, but that was it. When he read how crazy the man was, Itachi just shook his head. He knew every ninja had their quirks, it was the only way to cope with their way of life. He read about the missions and sort of felt for the boy. He remembered the D-rank missions he went on as a genin, and they were no fun at all. He then smiled a bit. He also read how one of Naruto's teammates, Rock Lee, has taken to emulate Guy to the extreme. I mean, wearing green spandex along with the bowl haircut and massive eyebrows. What sane person would ever want to be seen looking like that? All in all, Itachi was glad he made his choice in taking Naruto under his wing and teaching all he knew. Scene break. Naruto was frustrated. He's been a genin for several months now, and all he and his team had been doing was D-rank missions. They were getting old and boring. He wanted to do something new like AC rank or something. Heck, a boring escort mission would be better than what he was getting. The training with the team was going well. Though Naruto and Tenten claimed to be the only sane ones on their team, since Lee and Guy were legally insane in their minds. I mean, what the heck was with that genjutsu they did whenever they hugged? Where the heck did that sunset and wave crashing ocean come from, and how could Lee even perform a jutsu when he couldn't even mold chakra? When the two first saw it, they had nightmares for days afterwards. Now they covered their eyes or turned their heads away to avoid the ghastly sight. That, and Lee now dressed and acted totally like Guy, so he was now a full carbon copy of the eccentric Junin. It didn't help matters when Guy pulled 2 more green spandex suits for Naruto and Tenten. Both took them, then burned them, since it was the right insane thing to do with such a garment. Naruto and Tenten never thought they'd ever seen such horror, but they were wrong, and it seemed each day the two youthful ninjas would move one step closer and closer to a new level of insanity. Their only reprieve was when they trained themselves. That the best you got, Panda? Naruto asked with a grin. Tenten glared right at Naruto. You're going down, fish cake, she growled. The two were sparring at one of their favorite training areas. The one they had first met one another and became friends. We'll see about that, Naruto said. Their swords clashed and then they jumped back. Both were panting heavily, even Naruto, and he had amazing stamina. Call it a draw, the blonde suggested. Yeah, I guess, Tenten said. They soon went to a nearby tree and plopped down to rest. It was a day off for the two and they wanted to enjoy it. This was how they enjoyed it, by training together, since they didn't have a Junin shouting about youth and flames at them. It was peaceful. So how many more D ranks are we going to go on before we get AC rank? Naruto asked. Naruto, I give you the same answer every time you ask this question. I don't know, Tenten said, sighing in exasperation. Sorry, but I am just fed up, you know, Naruto grumbled. Tenten sighed again. She felt for Naruto, she truly did, since she was ready for something bigger than the D ranks they were doing. The rest of the day they worked on creating new combos with one another, along with improving the ones they had. Scene break. A year passed and Team Youth or Team Flame or Team Guy were a very good team. The name changed to whatever mood Guy was in at the time. They finally got a C rank and did well on it. Soon they go more C rank missions and completed them too. Guy, however, held them back from the Chunin exams, stating he didn't think they were ready yet and wanted them to have more experience under their belts. Naruto grumbled about this, but after reading a letter from Itachi after he complained about it, Itachi told him that he should take a look at it from his sensei's eyes and as well as his other two teammates. They hadn't had the training he's had and would need more. Plus, the fact that the Chunin exam required teamwork to complete it, that it would help to get a year of knowing your teammates under his belt first. Naruto in the end agreed. More time went on and Naruto and his team was one of the top teams. They were all respected by their fellow ninjas. This pleased Naruto even though he still got some dirty looks, but he just ignored them. He and his teammates grew together and trained together on their off days to work on combos and stuff as well as get to know one another better. They were close like a family and Naruto enjoyed having the two around though Lee was still manic even without Guy around though at a much more tolerated level. Scene break. Naruto, Tenten and Lee were waiting for Guy when they saw a dust blur. "Come my youthful students, we're needed in the mission's office. The Hokage has called us. It's an emergency of the most unyouthful kind." Guy shouted quickly and before he finished he ran off again leaving a huge dust cloud behind him. Why couldn't he stop and tell us and not just shout and run? Tenten grumbled as she got up. "Come Tenten, we must make haste. Let's show Guy sensei our youthful speed," Lee said speeding after the Junin. Tenten looked at Naruto and sighed. She really didn't want to run since she was still a bit tired from the training session they had yesterday. "Let's see what kind of bee is under the Hokage's hat this time," he said walking off in a normal speed. Tenten giggled and followed her friend at the same pace. They soon got to the mission's office with Guy and Lee already there. "Glad you could make it. We have a problem. What was a simple C-rank escort mission has turned into an A-rank mission or possibly an S-rank," Hiruzen said. "How is this possible, Lord Hokage?" Guy asked, now turning into his rarely seen serious mode. "The client lied to us about the dangers. So far they've encountered two Chunin known as the Demon Brothers as well as Zabuza," Hiruzen said. "Wait, Zabuza, the Zabuza, one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, Zabuza?" Naruto asked as Tenten was in shock of hearing such a legendary sword wielder's name. "Yes, the very same. I got a report from Kakashi and he has requested backup," Hiruzen said. Hiruzen then filled them in on the report Kakashi had given. "So my eternal rival Kakashi is in need of help. Then we shall be off with youthful speed," Guy said as he pumped his fist in the air. "Be careful, Kakashi has hinted that Zabuza isn't dead. So be on your guard," Hiruzen said. "Never fear Lord Hokage, we'll show them the flames of our youth will not being extinguished," Guy said striking his good guy pose complete with tooth ping. Lee had to copy this of course. Hiruzen's sweat dropped at this. He thought one guy was crazy enough, but a second. He thought it was a rumor at first, but when he first saw the pair he tried to dispel it since he thought it was some sort of genjutsu. I mean any sane person would think the same, right? It had to be just an illusion, it couldn't be real. "Come my youthful team, pack up what you need and meet me at the in a half hour," Guy said then left in another dust cloud. Naruto, Tenten and Lee left to pack. They made it on time to the gate and left from there. As they made their way they passed by someone hiding in the trees. "Where's he going on such a rush?" a person thought looking up at the passing figures and recognizing one of them. Scene break. Junin and former Anbu captain Kakashi Hatake sighed as he rested in Tezuna's, the bridge builder's house. He was still resting from chakra exhaustion due to overusing his Sharingan. Tezuna's daughter, Tsunami, was a lovely woman and helped him and his team get settled. He wondered though about Zabuza. He knew he would need help to beat Zabuza. He only had 3 inexperienced genin with him while Zabuza seemed to have a partner who was most likely a Chunin or higher. He just hoped whatever team was sent could help them out. This of course brought his thoughts to his team. Sasuke was the first. The boy was good, very good in both taijutsu and ninjutsu, but that was given since he was an Uchiha and Uchiha were pretty good fighters even at an early age. The problem was he wasn't experienced enough and has yet unlocked his Sharingan. Also there seemed to be a lot of pent-up hate and anger inside the boy. Not to mention he refused to work his other 2 teammates. This was a part of the reason Kakashi didn't teach them anything except teamwork. He needed to get that drilled into Sasuke before he could actually train the boy. The next was Kiba. The boy was an Inuzuka alright. He was hot-headed and rushed into everything. And he had this rivalry with Sasuke, which didn't help matters at all. How they worked together against Zabuza was a miracle, but Kakashi guessed when push came to shove the two would work together, but it would only last till the fight ended, then they'd be at each other's throats. Kiba was a good fighter though, which was a given since the Inuzuka are pretty good fighters in general. He worked great in short-range fighting and he had excellent tracking ability too with that nose. Plus, Kiba's partner Akamaru helped a lot too. Last was Sakura. Boy, she needed a lot of work. Sure, she had the highest grades as a kunoichi in her class, but she was an absolute fangirl and spaced out when it came to Sasuke. She also had no skill whatsoever. She was their weak link, Kakashi thought. She had small chakra reserves and her taijutsu was academy level. She just had no real skills to bring to the table at all. Her only redeeming quality was she was fairly good at genjutsu, that was it. The silver-haired Junin sighed as he held his orange book. They were in big trouble if they didn't get the help they needed. Power of youth. Kakashi's eye widened as he heard this. No, oh god no. It can't be him. Why did the Hokage have to send him of all people? This is my punishment for reading smut, isn't? To be plagued by Guy for the rest of my life, the silver-haired Junin thought sadly. The door slammed open with a crash and Guy appeared. Following was his little clone, then Naruto and Tenten appeared a little after, both panting heavily. Why'd we have to run all the way here? Tenten asked with her hands on her knees, panting heavily. We needed to make youthful time, Tenten, Lee said, not even tired though slightly winded. Whatever, but you could have warned us when you two started to speed up. It was lucky we didn't lose you, Naruto said in the same position as Tenten, panting heavily. What are you doing here? Sasuke asked, glaring at the new arrivals. Easy duck butt. We're here to help you since you seem to encounter some problems, Naruto said, standing upright. How dare you call Sasuke that? Sakura shouted as she went to punch Naruto. She was stopped by Tenten, who grabbed Sakura's wrist before her fist could make contact, twisted it around her back while a kunai was to the pink-haired kunoichi's throat. Dare touch him and you'll regret it, Tenten growled. Naruto sighed. Tenten was very protective of him. He wasn't sure why she was, but she scared off all girls who tried to get close to him. Like she was defending her claim or something. There were the few times, especially one when they were on a mission guarding a caravan, and whenever a girl their age flirted with him, Tenten went into jealousy mood and scare the girl off. He'd have to write to Itachi about this when he got back home. Easy Tenten, let her go. We're on the same team here, he said calmly as he gently took Tenten's hands away. Fine, but she better watch herself, Tenten grumbled. After that, things settled down and the teams were introduced to one another. Sasuke was eyeing Naruto curiously as well as Kiba. Sakura was shooting a glare at Tenten since she could still feel that kunai to her throat. Lee had declared his feelings to Sakura, who ran and hid behind Sasuke. Guy and Kakashi talked business. So you guys were called in because our sensei called for help? Kiba asked. Yeah, that's about it, Naruto said. Humph, I am an Uchiha. I need no help, Sasuke said arrogantly. Sakura had hearts in her eyes at this. This made Tenten groan since she now had to deal with a fangirl. Come off it, Uchiha, like you can beat Zabuza, who so happens to be one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, along with the supposed hunter Nin by yourself. Zabuza is a high-level Junin and that fake hunter is probably a high-level Chunin at least, Naruto said. Oh, and you could. Sasuke spat. No, not alone. But with Lee and Tenten's help we could give them a run for their money with Guy-sensei finishing them off, Naruto said confidently. Lee and Tenten sat up straighter hearing this. Naruto complimented their skills. They knew Naruto was the strongest of the team after seeing some of his hidden skills during their C-rank missions. So with Naruto praising them like that, they felt more confident than ever. Yeah right, you guys are genin like us, you wouldn't stand a chance, Kiba said with a snort. We've been genin for over a year. We have more experience than you do since we've done more missions than you have, Tenten said, trying not to boast. So, you are still the same level as us, Sakura said. Tell me, Sakura, have you had your first kill yet? Naruto asked. No I haven't, Sakura said reluctantly. We all have, and let me tell you it ain't easy and won't get easier, Naruto said firmly. Lee and Tenten nodded as they remembered their first kills and shivered slightly. Meanwhile, as the genin were talking, the two junin were doing the same. So Guy, what are your team's skills? Kakashi asked. Well, Lee is full taijutsu, his flames of youth will take him far. Tenten is a weapons specialist and is deadly in her projectile weapons. She gets 10 out of 10 on targets. She also has great skill with kenjutsu also. She also has good taijutsu and ninjutsu too. As for Naruto, he's our jack of all trades. He's good in many things: ninjutsu, taijutsu, kenjutsu and fuinjutsu. Though he has no talent for genjutsu, he's good at recognizing them and dispelling them. Their teamwork is flawless and they all have many combo attacks. Their flames of youth burn brightly together. Guy said proudly. Kakashi nodded, though he ignored the usage of the word youth. This team seemed like a good one. Heck, they were better than his own really, even though Guy's team have more experience than his team. Guy's team was a combat team that was more than ready. I see, Guy, if you could take over guarding Tazuna, then I can go out and train my team some to ready for the battle with Zabuza when he comes back, Kakashi suggested. Yes, we can do that, Guy said with a nod. Good, Kakashi said. Scene break. Kakashi's team was training as Guy's team guarded. On a day that Tazuna was forced to give his crew time off, Guy's team went out to see how Kakashi's team was doing. Kakashi and Guy were at the house, so that was pretty well protected. They found the three genin panting tiredly. There was cuts on the trunk of the trees. Sakura looked spent. Kiba was panting, but kept trying, and Sasuke was going, though he was never getting any higher. This is what you guys are doing? Tenten asked, shocked. What are you doing here? Kiba asked. Kakashi-sensei and Guy-sensei are back at Tazuna's home guarding him. We decided to come out to see what you're working on, Naruto said. Whatever, bet you can't do this, Kiba said as he made his way up the tree only to fall 5 feet up. The three members of Guy's team looked at one another, then nodded. They then each took a tree that wasn't scarred and walked up them with no effort. No sweat, Naruto said from his spot on the tree. Sasuke growled and charged up again, but this time he didn't even make it up to where he stopped and he fell. Naruto pushed off the trunk of the tree and caught Sasuke before he fell and gently placed him on the ground. Take it easy. You are going to hurt yourself, he said. Sasuke glared at Naruto. Come on, Naruto, let's do some training since we're out here. Hey Lee, care to join us? Tenten asked. Yes, Tenten, I'll join you and Naruto. We can keep our flames of youth aglow together, Lee said. Right, Tenten said. Say Lee, let's work on our combos. We're going to need them in the upcoming fight, Naruto said. Lee nodded seriously at this. Combos, what are you talking about? Kiba asked. We all have attacks that combine with one of our teammates. They make them more powerful and they are great secret weapons against our opponents, Tenten said. Guy's team walked off, leaving Kakashi's team curious. Scene break. Time passed and Sasuke and Kiba got tree walking down. It was just in time as Zabuza made his reappearance along with Haku, the hunter nin. Kakashi's team was guarding the bridge builder, giving Guy's team a break. But the break was short-lived as they took out a few bandits that tried to kidnap Tsunami. They took them out easily. They headed to the bridge to help Kakashi's team. When they got there, they found the battle hadn't even started. They joined Kakashi's team. Zabuza created several water clones which were taken down by Kakashi and Guy quickly. So it seems I was correct, Kakashi said. Yes, Kakashi. You all stay here while we handle Zabuza, Guy said. Naruto, you are in charge, Kakashi said, knowing Naruto could handle after seeing the boy train one day with his teammates. Sasuke glared at his sensei's back for not letting him lead. Right, Tenten, I want you to provide backup support. We're going to need you to watch our backs. Sakura, you stay here to guard the client and keep watch with Tenten. Sasuke, Kiba, you guys. Forget that, I'm taking the guy down. Kiba shouted as he charged at the fake hunter nin named Haku, with Sasuke following, not wanting to be left out. Wait, you guys, damn it, Naruto swore as he saw the two rush in. 5-year-old Naruto Uzumaki was panting hard as he finally evaded the angry mob that was chasing him. What did I ever do to them? I mean, yeah, I pranked them, but that's because they hurt me, the small blonde said to himself. He sighed and peered out to make sure the coast was clear. It was a green light and he moved quickly to avoid being spotted and ended up in his ramshackle apartment. He opened the door to find it was broken into and ransacked once again with hateful graffiti smeared all over the walls while most of his possessions have been destroyed, once again. He sighed and began picking up the pieces of his broken items. Cleanup was always such a pain. Just another day for him. Scene break. The next day Naruto was again being chased by an angry mob. His head was bleeding from a bottle that had been thrown at him. The blood was running down his face and neck, it was blurring his vision, but still he pressed on. His legs were screaming in pain for him to rest, but he ignored the plea. He kept running till he collided with something and fell to the ground painfully. He looked up scared out of his mind since he knew that it would be a matter of time before he was beaten by the mob. Hey, are you alright? Naruto looked up and saw a man with spiky red hair and crystal blue eyes that looked awfully familiar to the short blonde. The man looked down at him with concern. Before Naruto could speak, the mob arrived. There you are, demon, we're going to finish what the fourth started, one of the mob shouted. Demon, this is just a young child, not a demon whatsoever, the man said. It's a demon all right. It's just taking a form of that child, a woman shrieked. The man looked confused, but then saw something that caught his eye. Naruto's shirt had ridden up a bit when he fell down and he didn't push it down at all. The man crouched down and made to look at Naruto's stomach. Naruto saw the movement and flinched. It's all right, I'm not going to hurt you, the man said softly. Naruto was hesitant, but allowed the man to do what he was going to do. The man pulled Naruto's shirt up and used some chakra and it revealed the seal on Naruto's stomach. He was shocked at what he saw, but then he knew he needed to know something else. The boy just felt familiar to him, something was drawing him to the boy. What's your name? The man asked. NN Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto said. The man's eyes widened then narrowed at the crowd that still lingered. He got up glaring at them. You dare to harm one of the last of the Uzumaki bloodline, the man growled. He's just a demon that needs to be killed. A man in the mob shouted. You've signed your death warrant, the man said and dashed forward with amazing speed. The mob was cut down and none were left alive. The man cleaned off his sword he had used then turned back to Naruto who was laying on the ground still in shock of what he had just seen. Come on, I am taking you out of here, the man said. Naruto didn't get a word in as he was picked up and carried away from Konoha. Scene break. Hiruzen Sarutobi had his head in his hands. The huge pile of paperwork on his desk was ignored. His head snaps up at the presence of another person. Any sign? He asked in a very tired voice. No, Lord Hokage, I am sorry, the Anbu said shaking his head. Very well, you are excused, Hiruzen said with a sigh. The Anbu nodded and left. It has been 3 days since Naruto was last seen in the village. No one had seen him since and this troubled the aged ruler. He had made a promise to his good friend to watch over Naruto and had failed this. The team of Anbu that was supposed to be watching Naruto at the time took off early before the mob began. When Hiruzen finally found this out he chewed them all out before demoting them all. He then went searching for Naruto, but only found the bloody mess, but no sign of Naruto at all. This worried the old ruler mightily. When the rest of the village caught wind that the demon was gone, huge celebration sprung up all over. Hiruzen was angered by this and sent out his forces to stop the celebrating. To celebrate the disappearance of a young child was sickening. Naruto, where are you? He asked as he looked out the window. Scene break. Naruto was now in an unusual place. He looked around trying to figure out his new surroundings, but came up with nothing. Soon the door opened and a girl his age walked in carrying a tray of food. Oh good, you're awake, she said with a smile. Who are you? Naruto asked. My name is Mika, Mika said then walked over and placed the tray of food on Naruto's lap. Mika had long red hair with a yellow ribbon tied to it that kept most of her red locks away from her face. It helped when she trained not to have her hair in her face. She wore a simple kimono in the color of deep aqua with koi fish. She had green eyes that were stunning. Naruto's mouth salivated as the rich smells hit his nose. He wanted to fight the urge to ravage what was before him, but couldn't. It was a bloodbath in the food-eating sense. Mika sat back knowing from what her uncle had told her when he found Naruto. Naruto was malnourished and probably hadn't had a decent meal ever. So she wasn't disgusted at all, though she did hope Naruto had some manners. When Naruto was finished, he patted his stomach. Man, that was good, he sighed. Glad you like it, Mika said with a smile. Yeah, so where am I? Naruto asked. You're in New Whirlpool. Naruto turned and saw it was the same man he first saw back in Konoha. With this, Mika took the tray and left the room, leaving just Naruto and the man alone. My name is Hideko. How are you feeling, Naruto? He asked. Fine. Though why am I here? Naruto asked. You don't know anything about your family? Hideko asked, frowning. Naruto shook his head. No, I've tried to ask the old man, but he told me he'd tell me when I was older, he said. Old man? Hideko asked curiously. Yeah, he's the Hokage, Naruto said. I see, Hideko said with narrowed eyes. So why am I here? Naruto asked again. This is going to be a long talk, Hideko said with a sigh. He walked over, pulling up a chair next to Naruto's bed. He then told Naruto about his family, the Uzumaki clan. The Uzumaki clan was one of the most powerful clans in all of the 5 nations. They had their own village with just Uzumaki called Whirlpool because of the huge whirlpools that surrounded and protected the village. They lived with prosperity until the Second Shinobi War came and Kiri and Iwa invaded and destroyed Whirlpool. It was said there were no survivors, but that wasn't true. Several survived the slaughter and set up a new smaller village where Naruto is now. The new village was well hidden and not many knew where it was. There were many seals around the village to conceal it as well as to protect it too. Naruto couldn't believe all he was being told, especially the fact that he was the last of the Uzumaki bloodline. He found out about his mother and his father, who was the man that sealed the Kyuubi. He also found he was the one that held the Kyuubi. Naruto, know that you are not the Kyuubi, you just contain it. You and it are not the same, Hideko said. Naruto just nodded. Hideko could sense Naruto was still coming to terms with all that was dropped on him, so he left to give Naruto some time to think. Scene break. Once Naruto was feeling well enough, he left his bed and given a tour by Mika. She was so happy to have this duty and did her best to show Naruto all of the New Whirlpool. Naruto found the place was very warm and welcoming. He was welcomed by all they met and they were all happy that he was here since he was one of the last of the bloodline. He still didn't know what that meant, so he just ignored it for now. So what do you think, Naruto? Mika asked as they finished the tour. It's great, Naruto said. I'm glad, Mika said. Naruto smiled. He learned more about the village that he was ready to call home. He decided not to go back to Konoha. This was home to him, to be around his own blood, his family. He met more of his family as well as clans that were connected with his clan in some shape or form. Naruto was never happier in his life. Scene break. Years later, Naruto was now 14 and a full-fledged shinobi of the New Whirlpool village. He, along with Mika and his other teammate Yako with Junin-sensei Hideko. Naruto was their main fighter using ninjutsu, taijutsu and fuinjutsu, with Mika their medic nin, but she was more than capable in a fight. Then there was Yako. Yako preferred kenjutsu and excelled in it to an almost master level even though he is a genin. Hideko watched over all of them. Naruto had changed a whole lot since he started calling New Whirlpool his home. He ditched his orange jumpsuit, opting to wear more shinobi-appropriate clothing. He wore shinobi-style black pants along with a dark green long-sleeve shirt with a specially made vest to hold the numerous scrolls he carried. He had a gray trench coat that had a huge image of a whirlpool on the back. On his feet were black combat boots, but they had seals to make them silent and for durability. He also became more studious and serious. A side that Konoha would be shocked to see. Naruto was quite intelligent, but since pretty much everyone in the Leaf Village thought of him as a demon, he hid that brain. But now in his new home where he was welcomed and cherished, really he allowed himself to remove the mask of ignorance and stupidity. Mika hadn't changed much since meeting Naruto. The two became instant friends and Mika was Naruto's confidant. They shared a sibling relationship with each other. She still wore her hair the same way, though she had cut it shorter with the yellow ribbon now used to tie a short ponytail. She told Naruto it was easier to maintain. Naruto was confused about this, but took her word for it. Mika now wears a green kunoichi battle dress with the Uzumaki swirls on both of her shoulders in the color of blue. She carried several poisons and antidotes and other things a medic nin would need to carry. She also had a tanto on her back as well. She was great in medic jutsu, but was also good in taijutsu too. She was called the Tsunade of Whirlpool since she was just as famous as the legendary Slug Queen. Except she didn't have the Slug Queen's legendary strength, yet. Yako liked to use kenjutsu mainly, but was very good at genjutsu too. He didn't like using ninjutsu and his taijutsu was adequate enough. He wore a mesh top with a brown shirt over it along with black shinobi pants. Along with sturdy shin and ankle guards that with the introduction of chakra could fire off kunai or shuriken thanks to seals embedded in the shin and ankle guards. A katana is on his back while keeping his other weapons in scrolls on his person like a certain Konoha weapon mistress. His clan has a history with Naruto's and they were bodyguards of the Uzumakis as well as their personal assassins too. All three were excellent with fuinjutsu, which is a trait all new Whirlpool shinobi have. They start when they are young and since it's in their blood it doesn't take long for the kids to know how to do explosive tags by the age of 6 and storage scrolls by 7. They are taught what they need to be a shinobi at the academy, but fuinjutsu is taught at home. Naruto was different since he started late, but it didn't take him long to catch up since he had deft skill. Mainly because who his parents were. He was also the most creative when it came to fuinjutsu and experimented a lot with them creating new seals that no other fuinjutsu master had ever thought of before. He was hailed as a prodigy. At the moment the team was on their way back from a mission when Mika sensed something. She was also the sensor in the team. What is it, Mika? Naruto asked. There's several chakra signatures over there, Mika said. Let's check it out, Hideko said. The team came over and saw a battle happening. At the moment they saw a team of genin guarding an old man while their Junin sensei was fighting. That man is Zabuza, a swordsman of the hidden mist, Yako said. No one questioned him since he knew all the known kenjutsu users in the world. Shit, they're from Konoha, Naruto muttered taking a closer look at the headband. Hideko knew this could be trouble if they were found out. He had kidnapped Naruto from his home really. But before he could give the order to leave they saw the Konoha Junin go in for the kill, but was stopped by a mist hunter nin. I'd like to thank you for assisting me. I have been looking for Zabuza for quite a while. Oh, and for the 4 in the bushes come on out, the hunter nin. With a few grumbles the new Whirlpool team appeared out of their hiding place. They shocked the Konoha team. This gave the chance for the hunter nin to take Zabuza's body away. Who are you and why are you here? The Junin asked. Take it easy. I am Hideko and me and my team were on our way back from a mission when one of my genin sensed your battle, Hideko said. The Junin who had white hair sticking up and had a mask covering his mouth looked at the team. He looked at the headband and was shocked at the symbol on it. It couldn't be. Whirlpool. They were destroyed, he said. That's what many of you thought Kakashi Hatake, but there were survivors. We had gathered and started a new village and stayed hidden so we wouldn't be wiped out, Hideko said. I see, it seems you are well informed though, Kakashi said. We are, so what are you doing here if you don't mind me asking? Hideko asked. Kakashi was about to tell them when a shriek was heard. Kakashi-sensei, why should we tell them they are foreign ninja? The shriek came from a pink-haired girl. Look girly, you are too young to know this, but Konoha and Whirlpool have a long-standing alliance with one another. You should know that since the swirl that's on your flak jackets and other shinobi things are the symbol of Whirlpool, Hideko said glaring at the pink-haired girl. Kakashi apologized then told the new Whirlpool team their mission. I see, Hideko said. You've got your hands full then. That so-called hunter nin didn't even kill Zabuza, Mika said. What? And how do you know that? The pink-haired girl shrieked. First of all, talk like a normal person and stop shrieking. Second, I am a trained medic nin and know what that hunter nin did caused Zabuza to go into a near-death state, Mika said. The pink-haired girl was about to argue when Naruto jumped in. He wasn't going to let some annoying banshee criticize his first and best friend. There's also the fact that hunter nins cut the head off of their target then burn the body. This one didn't, thus making it suspicious, Naruto said. Kakashi's eye widened when he looked at Naruto. It couldn't be, He looked just like his sensei really. Is your name Naruto? He asked. Yes it is. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, genin of the village of New Whirlpool, Naruto said proudly. Well now that is cleared up and all. We best be going. Good luck on your mission, Hideko said. Wait, do you think you could help us out? We are still allies and we'd appreciate it, Kakashi said. He wanted to know more about Naruto since he was one of the few Anbu that kept looking for him even after the official search was called off. He just knew Naruto wasn't dead and was so glad to see him alive even though he was wearing another shinobi headband. I don't know, we should be heading back to report, Hideko said hesitantly since he didn't want Naruto exposed to Konoha any more than needed. No problem Hideko, Naruto said not having the same concern as his sensei. He then bit his thumb and did some hand signs and slammed his hand down. Summoning Jutsu. A big poof of white smoke arose and when it cleared an overly large tiger cub appeared. It was the size of a Labrador retriever. Hey Naruto, what's up? The tiger cub said raising its paw in greeting. Hey Samchi, can you give this to Auntie and tell her we're helping Konoha Shinobi? Naruto asked as he jotted down a note then handed it to the tiger cub. No problem, Samchi said taking the scroll in its mouth then popping away. What was that? A black-haired boy asked. That's called a summon. I hold several summoning contracts, Naruto said. That was true Naruto did hold many summoning contracts and he shared them with his two teammates. As one of the last true Uzumakis he carried several summoning scrolls to several beasts. The Uzumakis were the ones to create and then distribute many of the summoning contracts that were out in the world. Give me one, the black-haired boy demanded. No, Naruto said. The black-haired boy glared and charged at Naruto, but was stopped a few feet from Naruto when a blade of a katana was at his throat. Our villages may be allies, but if you try and hurt Naruto I won't hesitate to kill you, Yako said with a murderous glare. It was a known fact in the village that Yako's clan were close bodyguards of the Naruto's clan. Yako took his responsibility very seriously. No one was going to get close to Naruto on his watch. Hey, you can't do that to Sasuke. The pink-haired girl shrieked. Can I shut her up? I want to keep my hearing, Mika asked as she pulled out a few Senbon needles from her hip pouch. No you can't Mika. Yako stand down, Hideko ordered. Only if he does, Yako said. Hideko sighed and looked at Kakashi. Back off Sasuke, Kakashi said. Sasuke HMPHED then went back to his team glaring all the way. Yako put his katana away, but kept his eyes on the Konoha team. He wasn't going to let them hurt his charge. Let's head to the bridge builder's home and we can discuss things there, Kakashi suggested. With that the two teams got to the bridge builder's home. There they were greeted by the man's daughter and his grandson. Once settled, which it was decided they'd stay sleep with their own team, they gathered in the living room for a meeting. Well this is a surprise finding that people of Whirlpool are alive, but I am very glad, Kakashi said. What's so great about them? Sasuke asked. Many things Uchiha. We're one of the first villages known in history. We are renowned for Fuinjutsu and have the most powerful clan in history. We're also known for our longevity too, Hideko said. No clan is stronger than the Uchiha clan, Sasuke declared. The pink-haired girl got hearts in her eyes as she stared at Sasuke. Kakashi, you might want to beat the fangirl out of her before she gets herself and your team killed, Naruto said. Shut up loser, you're just jealous of Sasuke, the pink-haired girl shrieked. Why would I be jealous of a brooding emo whose only goal in life is to kill his own blood because of what supposedly happened, Naruto said. Sasuke's eyes narrowed as he looked at Naruto. What do you know of it? He asked. I know a lot and I can tell you that you're nothing compared to your brother. He's stronger, and wiser and you'll never beat him, Naruto said. Sasuke jumped up and was ready to attack Naruto, but was stopped by Yako's deadly glare. Where is he? Where is Itachi? The Uchiha demanded. Can't tell you. I am sworn to secrecy, Naruto said. Sasuke looked ready to explode. Calm down Sasuke. We're getting off topic. What we need to do is figure out is what to do next, Kakashi said dragging his student back to his seat. Simple. We've had news of this Gato ruling over Wave like a tyrant. Yako can take care of him while the rest of us can handle Zabuza and his partner, Hideko said. Really? Kakashi asked. Yes, Yako's clan are the best in Kenjutsu and not only the sworn bodyguards of the Uzumaki clan, but are the best and well-known assassins. They have rarely failed in taking out their target, Hideko said. Kakashi was interested in this since he had never heard of the Yako's clan at all, but information on Whirlpool was quite sparse. Most of that history was lost after Whirlpool was destroyed and very little is known while most are just rumors. Sasuke grumbled. Tell me Kakashi, what have you taught your genin? Naruto asked. Just team building skills, Kakashi said. That's it, you haven't taught them tree climbing or water walking? Naruto asked. No, Kakashi said sheepishly. The new Whirlpool team looked at each other. Tree climbing and water walking was taught while at the academy as well as taijutsu, ninjutsu, genjutsu, weapons training, and other skills as well as light class work. What in the world did Konoha reach their genin? It seems you have some work to do Kakashi. Why don't my team guard the bridge builder while you train up your team? Hideko suggested. Sounds good, Kakashi said with an eye smile. Scene break. Yako left after dark for his solo mission and that left Naruto, Mika and Hideko to guard the bridge builder while the Konoha team trained. Sasuke was pissed at what he was learning. It wasn't anything that would help kill his brother and he wanted to know how this blonde boy knew his brother and what else he knew. That summoning thing looked powerful and it would help him in his quest for vengeance. The pink-haired girl, whose name they found out was Sakura, was totally exhausted. She never did any training before and was bushed by just the lightest of workouts. Last was a pale boy named Sai. He was quiet and observed a lot of things. This made them very suspicious and made sure never to show much in front of the effeminate genin. Other than that, it was really quite boring with guarding the bridge builder, but it had to be done. One night everyone was sitting around eating when the door opened and Yako came in. Well, Hideko asked. Target eliminated, Yako said. Hideko nodded. Kakashi was astounded by this as were the other Konoha shinobi. He must have been weak to lose to you, Sasuke said. He was guarded by many guards, but he still had lousy security. He prepared for every threat possible except for ninja. I killed them and him and brought back a present for Wave, Yako said. This got Tazuna's attention. Yako pulled out a booklet from his pouch. This has all of Gato's account numbers. Congratulations, you can now rebuild Wave to its former prosper, Yako said. Tazuna stared at the booklet in awe, then took it and held it like it was a holy object. Well, now that is over, we just have to deal with Zabuza and his partner, Hideko said. Yes, he should be fully healed soon. We should work out a plan, Kakashi said. Scene break. Later that night Kakashi was out for a walk when he came upon Naruto. The blonde was sitting on the dock by the house looking out at the water. I didn't think you'd still be up, Kakashi said. Just couldn't sleep, Naruto said. Kakashi nodded and got closer and sitting down by Naruto. Where have you been? The Hokage has been very worried about you. Kakashi asked. I've been home, where I belong, Naruto said, still staring out over the water. Konoha is your home, Kakashi said. Yeah, right, a home where people spat on me, beat me, trashed my apartment, and nearly killed so many times. That's a home, Naruto spat. Kakashi flinched. You did have some who cared about you, he said quietly. Not enough, Naruto sighed. Kakashi bowed his head. I was one of them, he said quietly. I know you were and I thank you all the times you helped me, Naruto said. Kakashi's head snapped up. How do you know? He asked. Not very hard. You haven't changed your hairstyle and I remember you reading those books whenever you watched over me at the hospital, Naruto said as he pointed to the pouch where he kept said book. I see, Kakashi said. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone, Naruto said, knowing an Anbu true name are to be kept secret. Kakashi nodded. Here, you can give this to the old man when you get back, Naruto said, handing Kakashi a scroll. Kakashi took it and slipped it into his pouch. Well, I'm going to get some sleep. Night, Naruto said. Night, Naruto, Kakashi said. Once the blonde left, Hideko appeared from the shadows. Were you afraid I might steal Naruto away? Kakashi asked, not even looking around. No, but it never hurts to be safe, Hideko said. I'm guessing you're the one that kidnapped Naruto, Kakashi said. I wouldn't say kidnapped since it wasn't really. I was just returning him back home, Hideko said. I see, Kakashi said. Look Kakashi, I know all about Naruto being Minato Namikaze's son and everything else about him. Naruto knows too, Hideko said. Kakashi tried to not act surprised, but it was hard to. You may not like what's happening, but what is done is done. Naruto is a shinobi of New Whirlpool where he'll stay unless he wants to go back to Konoha, and that will be his decision and his decision only. I will not interfere in that, Hideko said. Kakashi nodded. Konoha has really screwed up, huh? The one-eyed Junin said. Yes, but they can hopefully learn from this. They have lost the best shinobi ever. Naruto was not only the best in his class and Rookie of the Year, but his skills already rival that of a Junin, Hideko said. Kakashi was amazed of how go Naruto was, though his father was quite the shinobi as well. After this mission we'll head back to New Whirlpool, Hideko said. Kakashi sighed and nodded. Scene break. The confrontation on the bridge was lackluster, to put it simply. Naruto had placed seals all around the bridge the day before, and as soon as Zabuza and his partner came they were trapped. First their chakra was zapped making them weak, then they were incapacitated by Mika with her own Senbon needles. The Konoha team were shocked and amazed by what they saw. Sasuke was pissed that he didn't do anything at all. He still wanted to know how Naruto knew his brother and where his brother could be, since he knew that Naruto had a good idea where Itachi was. After that the bridge was finished and it was time to part ways. Hideko decided to take back Zabuza and Haku, who was the name of Zabuza's partner, back to New Whirlpool. Kakashi had no qualms with that and the two teams parted ways. Scene break. Naruto grinned as he entered New Whirlpool. He was finally home. Come Naruto, we have to see the Uzukage, Hideko said. Right, Naruto said with a nod. They got to the Uzukage's office and entered. Mission accomplished, Hideko said. In front of the New Whirlpool team was the Uzukage, Selene Uzumaki, Naruto's aunt. She had long red hair, which was a trait most Uzumaki had, though Naruto was the exception. She had pale green eyes and a kind smile. She had survived the destruction of Whirlpool and helped found and create the new village. She didn't take up office till Naruto came to the village, since she didn't want to office in the first place, but with one of her last relatives here she felt compelled to. That's good, and what of the incident in Wave? Selene asked. It's done. Yako successfully eliminated the tyrant known as Gato, and then we along with the Konoha team there took down Zabuza and his partner. They are now in T and I awaiting interrogation, Hideko said. Very good, your pay for your mission is already in your accounts and I will chat with the Hokage about wages you'll receive for help in Wave. You're dismissed except you Naruto, Selene said. Mika, Yako and Hideko bowed then left, and once the door was shut all formalities disappeared. Selene got up from her desk and hugged Naruto. I was so scared when you sent Samchi back with that note about helping Konoha with their mission, she said. Naruto hugged his aunt back. I am fine auntie, see. Nothing to worry about, Naruto said. I know, but it's my job to worry, Serena said. I know, so what do you want to know? Naruto asked. What do you think of the Genin team you met? Selene asked. Naruto thought a bit then nodded. The team was bad. The team consists of Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno and Sai. Their Junin sensei is Kakashi Hatake. The Uchiha is arrogant and is on I must kill my brother to avenge my clan, kick. He also a brooding emo that craves power and will be a threat in the near future. Itachi isn't going to be happy how his brother has turned out. Haruno is a total fangirl and it was only pure luck that she wasn't killed in their first mission out of the village. As for Sai, well, I don't trust him. There was something about him that felt off about him, though I can't put my finger on it. I just know that I wouldn't have my back towards him, Naruto said. I see, Selene said. Why do you want to know auntie? Naruto asked. Well, I got this message from the Hokage, Selene said, picking up a scroll off her desk. He must have used a summon to give him that letter, Naruto said. What letter? Selene asked. Oh, Kakashi was one of the Anbu who used to watch over me when I was in Konoha. In Wave I gave him a letter he would give to the old man, Naruto said. Selene nodded. That explained the letter she got from the Hokage and how he wanted to continue their alliance with each other. She wasn't sure she wanted to, since that would mean revealing the village to the world again. Something they did their best not to do for so long. There was also another thing in the letter that she was mulling over. Something that would change her nephew's life quite a bit. Naruto. In the letter, the Hokage invited us to participate in the upcoming Chunin exams, Celine said. Naruto edged his head to the side in confusion. A trait that made girls squeal and then glomp him. Celine thankfully was used to this and didn't have that urge at all. The Chunin exams is where genin can get promoted. Though that isn't the only way. There are also field promotions as well, as if the Kage thinks a genin meets the criteria to be a Chunin. But the other thing the Chunin exams do is gather all villages to one location really. Each village hosts the Chunin exams and they trade off each year. This year it is held in Konoha, Celine said. Naruto realized what his aunt was getting at. So if you accept, then that means I'd be going back to Konoha, he said. Yes, Celine said with a nod. Can I think this over? Naruto asked. Of course, Naruto, Celine said with a smile. Naruto nodded, and with one last hug he left his aunt's office. A 5-year-old Naruto groaned as he slowly got up. He blinked and found himself in a sewer, which was strange since the last thing he remembered was running from an angry mob. How in the world did he get into a sewer? He sighed and began to make his way, hoping to find an exit. He didn't know how long he had been wandering. He could have been 5 minutes or 5 hours. Time didn't seem to have any affect here. Soon he made it to a big room where he was staring at what appeared to be a cage. Curiosity got the better of him and he squeezed through the bars, which was easily done due to him not eat properly. He was smaller and skinnier than most kids his age. After slipping through the bars he went deeper till he walked into a large room. It was huge, all in red with green fire shooting out of the top of 2 pillars. The little blonde crept closer and jumped and 2 jets of green fire came shooting up. An image of a huge menacing fox head appeared in the middle of the fire pillars. Who dares enter my lair? The fox asked. Hey, who are you? Naruto asked. I am the Kyuubi, the great and powerful. Who are you? The fox boasted. I am Naruto Uzumaki, the scared shitless, Naruto said, freaked out. I see, so you're my jailer. The Kyuubi said. Jailer. Wait, you can't be the Kyuubi. The 4th killed you, Naruto said. He did no such thing. I am too powerful to be vanquished by a mere mortal. He sealed me inside you to protect his precious village, the Kyuubi said. Naruto was about to say something when he saw something swaying. He turned his attention to it and could have sworn he saw a red curtain with tails swinging back forth from beneath it. He made his way over. Hey, what are you doing? Stay away from there, the Kyuubi ordered. Naruto ignored the fox and pulled the curtain away to find a small red fox working a control panel. Pay no attention to the fox behind the curtain, the Kyuubi said. You're the Kyuubi? Naruto asked, staring at the small fox. Yeah, it's me, the Kyuubi sighed. But, why the whole thing? Naruto asked, confused. Hey, I thought it would be fun. Saw it in a movie once, the fox said as he used a paw to rub the back of its head. Naruto's sweat dropped. The great beast Kyuubi did this whole show because he thought it was fun. So Naruto, since you're here, I think it's time for us to get started, the fox said. Okay. First, do you have a name? I mean, it can't be Kyuubi, can it? Naruto asked. Yeah, you can call me Vulpix, the fox said. Vulpix. Naruto said. Yep. Now I was planning on doing this way later when I contact you, but I guess things got sped up, Vulpix said. What? Naruto asked. Vulpix said nothing and then raised his tails, focusing its energy. Soon a huge scroll appeared in front of Naruto. Whoa, what is that? Naruto asked, jumping back in surprise. This called a summoning scroll. Sign your name in blood here, Vulpix said after it unfurled the huge scroll and showing where to sign. Naruto bit his thumb and wrote his name. He then looked back at Vulpix for further instructions. But then suddenly he got a massive headache. He held his head as he plopped onto his butt. He kept one arm extended to keep himself from falling on his back, but the headache wouldn't go away. He closed his eyes for a spell and soon the headache passed. What was that? Naruto asked. Oh yeah, sorry about that. I forgot to warn you about the massive info load you'd get after signing, but that was a minor detail, Vulpix said casually. Yeah, minor, Naruto grumbled, still feeling the phantom pain of his headache from the info download he had gotten. Congrats, you are now the summoner of pocket monsters, Vulpix said. Pocket monsters? Naruto asked, now with his head not hurting anymore. Yeah, they are creatures like me, but they come in all shapes, sizes, creatures and kinds. In fact, there are too many for me to name since new ones seem to keep appearing every year or so, Vulpix said. Okay, so how do I? Naruto paused for a second as he seemed to know the answer to his own question. This perplexed him and his eyes went cross-eyed. Ah, I see you've figured it out. The info load you got told you all you need to know. You know how to summon, and with a bit of practice you can figure out and choose what pocket monster you want, but you'll need practice since there are so many, Vulpix said. Naruto nodded. Good. Now get going, Vulpix said. Wait, how I am supposed to do that? Naruto asked. Before Vulpix could answer, the fox faded away and everything went black. When Naruto opened his eyes, he was in a hospital bed with a familiar figure sitting beside him. Hey old man, the blonde croaked. Naruto, you're awake. I am very glad, the old man said with a smile. The old man sitting beside Naruto was the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. He ruled Konoha after the fourth died after sealing the Kyuubi. He was forced out of retirement due to popular demand since they needed a stable figure to take a hold of the village after the Kyuubi attack. Yeah, what happened? Naruto asked, sitting up. Hiruzen sighed. He had done his best to protect Naruto, but even so it didn't seem like enough. He made a law that forbid anyone talking about the Kyuubi, but it seemed the village got around this by telling their children to stay away from Naruto, and like good kids they listened to their parents. This left Naruto a very lonely child. It got so bad that Naruto was kicked out of the orphanage and Hiruzen found him rummaging through the trash several months later. He gave the young boy an apartment and money to pay for it as well as food too. The only problem was no store sold Naruto anything. It made his blood boil to see the village he cherished so much treat a child so harshly. The village ignored the fourth's last wish of treating Naruto like a hero. He knew the fourth would be extremely pissed at what has been happening to Naruto. He knew his mother would be beyond pissed if she knew. He shivered at just the thought. The Anbu watching over you found you unconscious on the ground. Can you tell me what happened before that? Hiruzen asked. Naruto explained how he was running from another mob, which made the Hokage very angry. Naruto decided not to tell the old man about meeting Vulpix till later. So when can I get out of here? Naruto asked. In a day or so, Naruto. The doctors just want to make sure you're alright, Hiruzen said. Hiruzen personally selected the doctors and nurses that looked after Naruto. He chose doctors and nurses that would see Naruto as a boy, not the demon that he held inside. It was a very tough process, but in the end he found a staff that wouldn't harm Naruto while in their care. Scene break. 2 days later, Naruto was out of the hospital and he raced to an abandoned training ground that wasn't in use anymore due to newer ones that have been made. Okay, now what should I do first? Naruto asked out loud. Send out the smartest pocket monster you have and have him go to the library, Vulpix said. Vulpix, is that you? Naruto asked as he looked around trying to find Vulpix. Yeah, but talk in your mind like you're thinking. Vulpix said. Like this? Naruto asked. Yeah, we can now communicate like this all the time. No need to speak out loud, Vulpix said. Cool, Naruto said. Yeah, now get to summoning, Vulpix said. Naruto nodded and racked his brain through the info he had to find the right pocket monster. It took some time since his mind wasn't used to it all. He finally found the one and did the required hand signs. Summoning jutsu, Alakazam, I choose you. Naruto called. A plume of smoke appeared and soon an human-looking kind of creature appeared. His limbs looked thin and frail. In his grasp was 2 spoons. Who has summoned me? It asked. That was me, Naruto Uzumaki, the new summoner of pocket monsters, Naruto said with a wave. I see, the humanoid figure said. Naruto felt something push in and rummage around in his head. He grimaced. Hey kid, summon me so I can talk to Alakazam, Vulpix said. I can't, you're sealed within me. You can't escape, Naruto said. I can come out, but I won't have any powers really, Vulpix said. Okay, Naruto said. He then did some more hand signs. Summoning jutsu, Vulpix I choose you. Vulpix appeared and raised a paw in greeting Alakazam. Yo Allah, how are you doing? The fox asked holding its paw in greeting. Pix, it's been a long time, Alakazam said nodding its head. The two monsters chatted a bit catching up with one another. I see, so that's what's going on. You were tricked into attack the village and thus you being sealed into the young boy when he was just a babe. And now he's the pariah of the village and you've chosen him to be the pocket monster master, Alakazam said. Yep. That's about it. You in? Vulpix asked with a nod of its head. I am, but I think you should talk to the boss to get final approval, Alakazam said. Right. Naruto, here's what you need to do, Vulpix said. Naruto had sat back and let the two monster talk. When he was called over he went over and bent down and Vulpix whispered into his ear. Naruto then straightened up and nodded. He did some more hand signs. Summoning jutsu, Mew I choose you. Another plume of smoke and a small pink-colored creature with a long thin tail appeared. It was curled in a ball snoozing it seemed. Yawn. Oh man, who has woken me up? I was having such a great dream of sunshine and daisy along with butter and mellow, the pink creature said rubbing its crystal blue eyes. Alakazam and Vulpix just blinked, unsure what to even say to that. Naruto was totally confused and his face showed it. Mew, hey. It's me Vulpix. I have someone I want you to meet, Vulpix said waving its paw around. Oh Pixie, it's great to see you. Done any fun pranks lately? Mew asked happily without a trace of sleep. No, here's what has happened, Vulpix said seriously. The red kitsune explained the whole thing and Mew looked angry upon hearing it all. Then its expression changed and its eyes shifted to Naruto. You think he's worthy enough for this honor? Mew asked seriously. I do. After all the abuse he's suffered he's still the same kind person, Vulpix said with a nod. I'll be the judge of that, Mew said then stared Naruto in the eyes. Naruto saw his whole life flash before his eyes. It even went through his infancy where he saw what his mom looked like and her name as well, who his dad was too. Then saw the ceiling of Vulpix into him. He saw all the abuse and hatred he had endured. Mew was looking through all of Naruto's life to see if Naruto was worthy. Naruto gasped and fell to his knees panting for breath. Though they were just memories he could feel the phantom pain of all those attacks from his past. WH what was that? The blonde asked breathing hard. I apologize for that Naruto, but I needed to looking into your mind to see your life, Mew said. So, does he pass? Vulpix asked anxiously. He does. I name Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze the summoner and master of pocket monsters. I give you permission to summon me and all of kind, Mew said. Thanks, Naruto said slowly getting up. No problem, I'll be going. I'll let everyone know what's going on and about our new master, Mew said then disappeared. Well now that's over, let's get to work, Vulpix said clapping its paws together. Scene break. Naruto trained hard. He used several fighting-type pocket monsters to help him out. They were Lucario, Machamp, Hariyama, Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan and Hitmontop. These pocket monsters helped Naruto on the physical side of his training. Alakazam provided much information and improved Naruto's reading and writing skills. Alakazam read the entire Konoha library, storing all the knowledge and taught it to Naruto bit by bit as the young needed it. During this time Naruto trained not only his body, but mind. Alakazam kept telling Naruto that a shinobi not only trains his body, but mind also. With his mind he got faster in selecting the right monster he needed till it was almost coming to him as a second nature. But Alakazam made sure Naruto worked on his ninja skills too, since Naruto needed to be able to use those skills than just rely on his summons. Alakazam drilled in to be good in many areas and not to focus on one thing. It would make him more dangerous. Ah, how come? Ninjutsu is awesome, so why do I have to learn all this other stuff? Naruto whined. Because young a true shinobi is knowledgeable in all things. So he can enter any situation and be in control of it rather than flounder and die due to lack of knowing, Alakazam said wisely. Naruto pouted, but accepted it. He trained with the other forms a shinobi uses, but found he couldn't use genjutsu due to not having the precise chakra control needed for it. But that meant Naruto had to train in recognizing it and dispelling it. It was decided that Alakazam would remain out to help Naruto. The psychic type would gather info for Naruto whenever he asked or provide much needed guidance to the young blonde when needed. With Naruto knowing his true heritage, he learned from Alakazam about how many enemies his father had and reasoned why he wasn't told before. Naruto was upset at not knowing, but Alakazam talked him into understanding why. So he let it be. He'd have something over the old man in the future he could use. Hiruzen decided to enroll Naruto in the Ninja Academy, and Naruto was happy since he wanted to become a shinobi. But when he entered, he got bored listening to all the lectures there were. Not to mention many of the teachers were biased to him and wouldn't teach him at all. So he had to have Alakazam teach him what the teachers wouldn't. In his 4 years at the academy, he stayed just at average, not showing anything fancy at all. He learned early that a true ninja's greatest skill is deception, and he was going to make the most of it. The shinobi world will be very surprised when he became a leaf shinobi. During these 4 years, Naruto trained more with the pocket monsters. In his second year, he had to tell the old man about it since he caught him. So Naruto introduced Hiruzen to Vulpix. That was quite the meeting. "Naruto, what in the world is going on here?" Hiruzen asked. Before the Hokage was a destroyed training field. Naruto was there panting hard. "Hey old man, just doing some training," Naruto said with a grin. "I see, but how did all of this happen?" Hiruzen asked. "Kit, you better tell him. He's not going to let this lie. Besides, I think you can trust him," Vulpix said. "Okay Vulpix," Naruto said. "Naruto, are you alright?" Hiruzen asked. "Huh, oh yeah, I am fine. Anyway, can we talk?" Naruto asked. So the two went to Hiruzen's office and he placed a seal to keep it private after Naruto's urging. "Now what did you want to talk about, Naruto?" Hiruzen asked. "I am in contact with the fox," Naruto said. The pipe in Hiruzen's mouth fell out of his mouth as he stared wide-eyed at Naruto. He was shocked that Naruto knew that he held the Kyuubi. His eyes roamed all over the boy's body, seeing nothing that looked like Naruto had been taken over by the demonic fox. But he was still tense, not wanting to take any chances at all. "Before you go all nuts, the fox is alright," Naruto said. "Naruto, how can you be sure?" Hiruzen asked with uncertainty. Naruto did some hand signs that the old Hokage recognized as summoning jutsu. He had no idea how Naruto knew this and how he could do it so fast and efficiently. "Summoning jutsu, Vulpix, I choose you." A plume of smoke arose and a small red fox appeared. "Yo, name's Vulpix, or as you people call me, Kyuubi," the red fox said, raising its paw in greeting. Hiruzen was tense as he saw the fox that almost wiped the village off the map. But he could tell there was no foreboding aura around the creature. Especially how small the red fox was. Was this the same beast that caused all that havoc and destruction all those years ago? "Are you really the Kyuubi?" he asked in a dubious tone. "Yeah, but call me Vulpix, that's my name. Anyway, sorry about attacking your village, it was a total mistake," Vulpix said. "Why did you attack our village in the first place?" Hiruzen asked. "Yeah, I've been wondering that too," Naruto said. Well, to tell you the truth, I kind of got really excited after my favorite team won and I kind of celebrated in my own way," Vulpix said with total embarrassment. Naruto and Hiruzen's sweat dropped. The entire village was destroyed just because Vulpix was celebrating after his team won. After getting over that shock, Hiruzen had a meaningful conversation with Vulpix and Vulpix told him how Naruto was now the summoner of pocket monsters. The fox told Hiruzen that Naruto was the only one and he could let more join in, but they'd have to ones that he absolutely trusted. Hiruzen understood and agreed with Vulpix about keeping this all secret. He even gave the two a training ground where they could practice. In Naruto's third year, there was a great discovery. It seemed Naruto could do certain moves that the pocket monsters could do. They found that he was tapping into Vulpix's powers, enabling him to use pocket monster attacks. "Whoa, what was that?" Naruto asked. He had shot out a strange blue ball of whirling energy from his palm. "That, Naruto, is called Aura Sphere. Interesting, I didn't think you could perform our kinds of attacks," Lucario said in complete shock at what it had seen. "Yes, that is interesting, I wonder what else he can do," Machamp said as he used one of his hands to rub its chin in thought. We should experiment this and see what his limits are, Vulpix said. Naruto nodded and Vulpix had him summon a few more pocket monsters. They were Ampharos, Sceptile, Infernape, Blastoise, Excadrill, Garchomp, and Bisharp. Together they all helped Naruto find out what of their attacks he could actually do. They found Naruto couldn't do any psychic attacks since it took much mental focus and Naruto just didn't have the strength for that at all. But Naruto could do several fighting type moves as well as water, rock, ground and other types as well. His strongest though was fire moves, which Vulpix surmised that was because he was a fire type too, so it would make fire type moves easier for Naruto to use. Another of his favorites was teleport since it was like Shushining, but without the leaves or anything. Naruto used it to travel around since it beat walking everywhere. It was decided that though these moves didn't need any hand signs that Naruto would act like they do. It would throw off everyone and Vulpix thought it would be a great joke to play on the Uchihas, who like to copy jutsus. They couldn't copy these since they didn't use chakra and they didn't need hand signs. It was also found that Naruto couldn't do a regular Bushin due to having so much chakra and he wasn't able to produce a stable clone no matter what. So Naruto went to Hiruzen to explain his problem and Hiruzen taught him the shadow clone jutsu and Naruto picked it up fast. Scene break. Naruto sighed as he finished the written portion of the test. He didn't know why there was a written portion since when does that come in handy when you're a shinobi. Alright class, let's go outside for the next part of the genin exams, the teacher said. Naruto followed along with the rest of his class. Even after 4 years now Naruto hadn't made any real friends. This was due to several factors. One, parents had warned their children not to hang around Naruto plus the fact Naruto himself tend to be by himself most of the time. He'd mentally talk to Alakazam or Vulpix if he got bored. Right, now the first part of the physical test is Kunai and Shuriken throwing. Let's start, the teacher said. Naruto watched all of his fellow classmates did their turn. When he was called he got 6/10 in Kunai and 6/10 in Shuriken. After that it was sparring. Naruto and his whole class would fight against the second Chunin instructor who was there and the first Chunin instructor would watch and take down the scores of the class. Naruto's turn came up and he fought, but could tell the Chunin hated him like most of the village and did everything he could to hurt Naruto. Naruto counter each attempt made and made it through with very few scratches. Once back in class it was time to be tested for the 3 jutsus that every genin should know. Bushin, Henge, and Kawarimi. Naruto waited patiently for his turn and when it was time he performed them all. Though he gave them a note the Hokage gave to him so the teachers knew to expect his Kage Bushin instead of the regular Bushin. Naruto was tempted to just use teleport instead of Kawarimi since it was basically the same, but Vulpix talked him out of it. In the end Naruto came out of class wearing his new Hitai-8 ready to start his career as shinobi of Konoha. He was told to report back to class in a week to get assigned teams. So Naruto spent that time to work more on his skills along with his trainers, i.e. his pocket monster summons. Scene break. Naruto sighed as he stared at the teams leaving with their new instructors. He grumbled a bit at whom he was teamed up with. First was a pink-haired girl named Sakura. Naruto at first liked her, but after having a heart-to-heart talk with a couple of his pocket monsters they made him see the light. Sakura was just another fangirl. She wasn't a kunoichi and would probably die on the first mission out of the village. She was intelligent, but she was weak physically and didn't even train at all. The only thing that mattered was to look pretty for Sasuke Uchiha. And that brought Naruto's thoughts to his final teammate. Sasuke Uchiha. The last Uchiha after his brother killed the entire Uchiha clan. Naruto learned all of this from Alakazam, who read the file after the Uchiha massacre. Now Sasuke was good, he was the top of the class, but boy did he have some mental issues. The boy was a total emo and Naruto could swear he sees a dark emo brooding cloud whenever he sees Sasuke around. 2 hours pass and they are the last team in the room. Sasuke was brooding like usual with his emo cloud hovering above his head. Sakura was trying to ask Sasuke out for the umpteenth time while Naruto was in a lotus position meditating. Boy, this guy sure likes to be late, Vulpix said. Yeah, hey Alakazam, can you get me any info on Kakashi? Naruto asked. Of course, I'll get on it, Alakazam said. The sound of the door opening made Naruto open an eye. From first look at you three I can tell this is going to be boring. The man with white hair standing right up and his headband covering one eye. He also had a face mask on covering the bottom half of his face and a very lazy laid-back look. Meet me on the roof, he said. He left and Sasuke and Sakura got up and headed out. Sakura turned around to tell Naruto to hurry only to find the room empty with no Naruto in sight. Scene break. Kakashi Hatake, the Junin instructor of Team 7 was sitting on the roof. He was reading his favorite book giggling away at certain parts. He sensed something and turned to find Naruto sitting there. How did he get here so fast? Kakashi thought. You know that's highly inappropriate material to read in public, Naruto said eyeing Kakashi's book. You say something? Kakashi asked casually. Naruto ignored Kakashi and went back to meditating. Hey, how'd you get here so fast? Sakura shouted. A shinobi never reveals their skills, Naruto said as he heard the ringing in his ear due to how loud the banshee was. Sakura huffed, but sat down making sure she sat as close as she could to Sasuke. Sasuke just looked at Naruto trying to analyze him. Maybe the blonde loser could be a challenge for him after all. Okay. Since we're all here let's get to know one another, Kakashi said closing his book. What do you mean sensei? Sakura asked. You tell each other your likes, dislikes that kind of stuff, Kakashi said in a bored tone. Why don't you start sensei? Sakura offered. Okay. Name is Kakashi Hatake. I have some likes, some dislikes. My dreams are personal, Kakashi said finishing with an eye smile. Sasuke and Sakura just stared at their sensei. All we got was his name they thought. Naruto however was getting all the info he needed of Kakashi via Alakazam. Interesting he was an Anbu and he even watched over me when I was little. He was a student of my father's as well. Hey, looks like he has the Sharingan as well. This is going to be interesting Naruto thought. Yeah, but look, he hasn't ever passed a team yet. That means he very strict Vulpix said. I guess or that he's very lazy Naruto countered. Good point Vulpix said. During this time Sasuke went all emo with the dark cloud getting even bigger as he introduced himself. It looked like there was going to be some emo rain in the forecast. Sakura also went and her was mainly made of giggling, blushing and squealing. Okay. Blondie you're last, Kakashi said. Naruto blinked then nodded. Name's Naruto Uzumaki. Likes are my summons and the few people who are precious to me. Dislikes are arrogant people, those who can't tell a weapon and the scroll that's it's sealed within, emos with huge sticks up their butts and fangirls. Dreams, well don't know about that yet, he said. Kakashi nodded though now he knew that Naruto knew about the burden he carried inside him. Okay. It looks like I got an avenging emo, a pathetic fangirl and what appears to be a capable shinobi. Sounds like fun he thought. Okay. Now that we're done with that it's time for the test to become genin, Kakashi said. Test? But we already did that Kakashi-sensei, Sakura said dumbly. No, that was just the first part. This test will see if you're truly ready to be shinobi, Kakashi said. Sakura looked shocked at hearing this and Sasuke looked pissed as he tried to glare with great intimidation at Kakashi. Naruto looked bored. Right. Meet at training ground 13 at 7 in the morning. Oh, and I suggest no eating breakfast you'll just throw it up, Kakashi said. Scene break. The next morning both Sasuke and Sakura waiting for their sensei and their third teammate. Both were extremely hungry since they were told not to eat. They were also very tired since they got up early. Both were on the cusps of sleep. Naruto was nowhere to be seen since he knew that Kakashi would be late and the don't eat breakfast was a suggestion, not an order. So Naruto got a good night's sleep as well as a good healthy breakfast. He appeared just walking leisurely into the training ground. Where have you been? Sakura screeched. Naruto ignored her. Loser you're late. Sakura screamed. Nope. I am not late. Kakashi isn't here so technically I am here early, Naruto said. Sakura was about to screech again when Kakashi appeared. Yo! He greeted with an eye smile. You're late. Sakura screamed. Yeah, about that. I was on the way here and then a little girl's balloon got stuck so I helped get it down, but here was a hive of bees and I had to run away from them, Kakashi said. Liar. Sakura shouted. So I guess you're ready for the test. Kakashi asked, ignoring Sakura. Good, well, here it is. He then held up 2 bells. Bells? Sakura questioned. Yup. You are to take them from me, Kakashi said with an eye smile. But there are only 2 of them, Sakura said. Right. That means only 2 of you can pass. The third goes back to the academy, Kakashi said. Sasuke narrowed his eyes. He had to get the bells. He had to, so he could one step closer in killing him. He wasn't going to fail. He was going to get those bells. Sakura looked shocked upon learning this. Naruto frowned. Something doesn't feel right about this Vulpix, he thought. You're right, Kit. There has to be something else, something more going on, Vulpix said. You're both correct, but what it is you must figure out. It is a test after all, Alakazam said. Naruto frowned mentally at this, but knew Alakazam would want him and not just provide all the answers. Because how'd you learn anything if everything is handed to you? Okay. You got till noon to get the bells. The loser doesn't get to eat. Come at me with all you got. No holding back. You've got till the timer runs out, Kakashi said as he pulled out an egg timer from his pouch as well as opening a scroll and producing 3 meals. Sasuke and Sakura's stomachs growled. Alright, any questions? Kakashi asked. There was none. Good. Begin. Kakashi said. There were 3 blurs and they all hid. Kakashi pulled out his little orange book and began reading as he spread out his senses to locate the genin. It appears that the Uchiha has good hiding skills, Pinky not so much. I mean, I can still see her hair. Now where is the blonde one? Kakashi thought. Naruto was up on a tree with a great view of where Kakashi was. He already knew where his 2 teammates were. Sasuke was hiding in the bushes closest to him, and Sakura, well, she was easy due to her pink hair. He watched on, waiting for some movement, then he saw Sasuke come blazing out. He shook his head. Kakashi is a Junin and ex-Anbu. There's no way King Emo can win, Naruto thought. True, but methinks Kakashi won't be going out. This is a part of the test to see where your skills are at, Vulpix said. Huh, so does that mean I should show off my summoning? Naruto said. Nah, keep that in your bag of tricks. But show him some other stuff though. Just don't go overboard. You want to have some things up your sleeves, Vulpix said. Naruto nodded as he watched Sasuke get owned by Kakashi. No matter what Sasuke did, Kakashi could always counter it. The Junin then disappeared after Sasuke shot out a fire jutsu. Then he saw Sasuke get buried till only his head was showing. It wasn't moments later when Naruto heard a piercing scream, meaning Sakura was taken out as well. That leaves just me, Naruto said to himself. Yup. So what are you going to do? Kakashi asked. Naruto looked around and found Kakashi on a branch next to him reading still. Well, first I think I figured out the test, Naruto said. Oh, you have? Kakashi asked curiously. Yeah, it's. Thanks for listening. In the next part. In the meantime, please leave a review, I would love to hear your feedback. Especially if it helps me improve the overall story.